Let's talk about some animation breaking news. Lucas. So, we decided to get together today because we had some kind of big news in the world of animation. You and I have talked in the past about when something really we think significant comes out, it might be fun to get on here, talk about it just for a second, short little video.
And sometimes when these big news breaks happen, Alec will know about it or I'll find out about it. And in case you guys don't know about it, we want to share that with you so that we're all able to look forward to some cool stuff that's going to be going on soon.
Yeah, you know, we're not going to be doing it left and right, but we thought that this was pretty significant.
Yeah.
And that is that the Flintstones, an iconic cartoon from Hanna-Barbera Animation, is going to be not rebooted, but rather be given a sequel as an adult animated show. This has been in the works for a long time. There was talk that Seth MacFarlane was going to do a series with it, which, to be honest, I was a little bit nervous about. It's not going to be him on it. This is going to be Elizabeth Banks, who you might know from Pitch Perfect or The Hunger Games. She's not only going to be the producer of it, but also the voice of Pebbles, who appears to possibly be the main character of this series. So this takes place 20 years after the Stone Age, and they're basically entering the Bronze Age. And I'll just read you exactly what it says on Animation Magazine. Bedrock catches up with the Flintstone family 2 decades after the original, with Fred on the brink of retirement and 20-something Pebbles embarking on her own career. As the Stone Age gives way to a shiny and enlightened new Bronze Age, the residents of Bedrock will find this evolution harder than a swing from Bam Bam's club. What do you think about that, just hearing the premise?
Dude, knowing that this is going to be in like adult animation, angled towards older audiences,
That's the big news for you.
Older comedy? Is it comedy?
It appears... So, to be honest, that's not answered for sure, but I can't imagine it not being comedy.
Well, I pictured this with like the seriousness of BoJack Horseman, and I'm just like, you could not. There's no way. That's ridiculous. You have to do a comedy. I mean, it's built for a Family Guy style. It's built for a Simpsons style.
Yeah, okay, so well, it's interesting that you say that, because you could probably argue that the Flintstones were kind of like the original Simpsons or Family Guy, in the sense that it was an edgier comedy about, you know, mainly starring this guy who's a really dumb character, all things considered.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You know, and it's a family, and that's kind of what the show's about, right? It's just that modern shows go a little bit harder on the edgy humor, but it definitely makes me nervous, because when you take a beloved show like that is not super adult, right? I guess maybe at the time it was, but it's certainly not by today's standards.
No, I don't think at the time it was. It was marketed for kids, for sure.
Maybe. Cartoons didn't have that kind of stigma back then.
We're going to talk about that at some point. Like and subscribe for Flintstone content.
Yeah, in fact, I would say that the Flintstones episode is going to be coming very soon, us talking about the original. It's interesting, right? Because on one hand, this is the only way you can do it, because a reboot feels like it would be useless unless you're going to do something brand new, and it's good to do it brand new. But I really hope they don't go the style of like a Family Guy or a Seth MacFarlane type thing, because I think that that's going to be so stark from the original that people are really going to hate it. And I think you're risking really just, for lack of a better term, shitting all over the original classic.
Wow. When I see people who love something get frustrated, it brings my heart joy. So I would love to see people get super upset, but only if it's actually really funny. If it's really bad, I would just feel bad for all parties involved. The creators, the original source creators, the fans. You know, if it's not good, I would think that that's not great. But if it actually ends up being really funny, I wouldn't mind if it challenged, you know, because this is the thing. Original fans are always going to hate something about it. There's always going to be factions of the original fan base are pretty much always going to hate a reboot, you know, or a sequel or whatever. If they tackle that head on, like most canons are afraid to do, and say, we're just going to be whatever, kind of like how Teen Titans Go did, actually. As much as I don't like Teen Titans Go as much as the original, I appreciate that they did go about it like, we're just going to be unapologetic with this reboot and do whatever we want with it. I would appreciate their doing that, and even if it gives the finger to the fans a little bit.
Okay. So I think that's interesting. One thing that I want to bring up, just because something is an adult animated show does not mean that it has to fall into the same vein of pretty much every animated comedy that seems to exist, right?
Well,
it can be adult. Yeah, okay, sure. Okay, sorry. I'm not going to oversimplify it, but I'm really thinking about Western audiences, right? When we think of adult animation, what comes to mind is these comedies that have gotten popular. But you have live action comedies that are not super... What's a word to describe some of the Family Guys or the Simpsons?
Bad. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, we just... I hope everyone didn't just click off of this video all of a sudden. There is a very formulaic style that a lot of adult animated shows in the US have. Futurama, The Simpsons, Family Guy, American Dad, you know, I mean, sure, you could go on listing more of them. And even the ones that stray from that a little bit, like Robot Chicken, Hester Bros, or Archer, you know, stuff like that, that are more unique than that super basic family formula. The comedy, it's all in the same vein of, like, we're intentionally throwing very crude humor out regularly.
That's the word.
Alec doesn't like that. I think it can be really funny. Like, I think Rick and Morty is hilarious. Now we also have BoJack Horseman that has kind of broken the mold in the West a little bit.
Right.
And I think anime influence has had a lot of changes, too, because there are adult animated shows like Death Note that are like, it's cartoon, but you're not going to show Death Note to your kids.
Yeah, and I mean, I think my whole thing is that sometimes Western animation decides, oh, cartoons are for kids, so we're only going to make a cartoon for adults if it's super crude.
Yeah.
And if this show breaks that mold and decides to make an adult comedy that doesn't lean in that hard, if there's a little bit, okay, fine, I understand. But the Flintstones is a beloved show. Like, let's make something really interesting and different here. Like, it could be groundbreaking.
It has potential. That's what I want to say. It has potential. It has potential to ruin a lot of people's day, and it has the potential to be amazing, even if it ruins people's day.
Sure, and it's a collaboration between Fox Entertainment and Warner Brothers Animation. So we don't know if it's going to end up on the Fox network, which I think would severely constrain its success.
Yeah, definitely.
Or it could end up on HBO Max, which I think would give it a ton of creative freedom. Mm-hmm. So I'm just crossing my fingers that streaming services is where this ends up. It's also interesting to me, the writer of this pilot, Lindsay Kearns, is actually famous for shows with younger audiences, like Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, DC Superhero Girls, and Trolls, The Beat Goes On. So obviously, that does not mean that she can't write an adult show at all. Like, she can be very talented and puts out something amazing. But I do think that this is actually good news for what I'm hoping for, that this is a person who at least has respect for younger audiences.
Well, but those shows are not very good.
Well, you don't know that, to be fair. You haven't seen any of them.
That's fair.
We're making an assumption there. It's hard to use a writer because writers can write such different things. Mm-hmm. To be honest, like, I'm hoping that this show does not go too far. And I don't even know what that means yet, but I guess we'll see.
Well, whatever it is, I want to know what you guys think. So throw us in the comments what you think of this new change in animation. And, if you love the Flintstones, are you worried about your sacred art getting obliterated? Or are you excited for the future that might hold for it?
Yeah, all good questions. And next time something big breaks, we'll be back to talk to you again.
Absolutely. And also, please let us know if you hear of big news so that we can share it as well. Throw it in the comments in one of our videos, send us a DM on one of our social medias, which are going to be in the links in the description. And stay tuned for the future.